We talked about if we did get together, how it would be, as far as living together and putting our money together, and, you know, how we would be good in retirement. You know, we were talking about moving out of the country, and I was planning the rest of my life with this man. I had been dating him for several years. We intertwined so well. There was no prejudice problems, which is something that he had had prior in relationships. You know, my kids are mixed. He's black. My grandfather was black. My entire family was intertwined with Japanese. I think he's Japanese, my niece's husband. My brother's wife is mixed, and, you know, my other brother was married to someone who was Italian. Our entire family is a mix of so many cultures. So he knew that was not, we did not have that issue at all. And I do know for sure that was an issue in 2 of his other relationships. So I just thought everything was perfect. But I overdid things. I overloved him. And I exhausted him because of this anxious attachment style. And I guess I didn't know that I thought that I was thinking in the back of my mind that he would abandon me at some point. But because I constantly needed reassurance, obviously now that I'm here, I'm realizing that is something that was in the back of my mind, that I thought this guy's going to leave me at some point. Which in the beginning of our relationship, he would tell me all the time, you're going to get sick of me and you're going to leave me. I used to I could ghost people. If I didn't really like you or whatever, I could just stop talking to you and it wouldn't bother me. That's the state of mind that I was in at that time. And he always would say to me, don't ghost me. Don't give me anything to ghost you for. The only thing that I would ever leave him for is what I told him, is if he would cheat on me. And he never did that. I never ever felt that I wasn't loved by him. But in the summertime, he told me that he was going through a bunch of things, and he was. And he was, I think, losing himself in the relationship because I was so emotionally draining to him. I didn't realize it then. I didn't know. But he told me that he needed time to figure out what he wanted to do or where he was at, because he didn't really know. At that time, he told me that he loved me and he felt very deeply for me. But he didn't feel like his love was where mine was, because I, of course, overdid it. Which is because I wanted to make sure that he knew how much I loved him, and I was exhausting him with constantly, even though I wasn't saying, I need you to reassure me, I was exhausting him by constantly, I love you, I love you, I love you, I miss you, telling him just everything about him, that he was so good. And he was. He honestly was. But everybody has faults. He has faults. But nothing that would ever make me walk away. So in the summertime, he told me he needed some time. Myself didn't give him the time that he needed. So we didn't speak really for a couple of weeks. He started some therapy himself because he needs it from, you know, trauma. We all have trauma. But I didn't allow him the time to heal because I didn't want to. I didn't want to lose him. But in the end, I did. So we wound up maybe a month and a half or 2. You know, he did some self-care and did some things for himself, you know, went out with his friends or whatever. We don't always have a lot of time to spend together because of we work Monday through Friday, but weekends we're really exhausted. And he had his own house, I had my own place. So I guess I always wanted to be with him. I know I did. And I didn't really give him that me time. Because during the week when you're working and then you're tired, you're not really taking care of yourself. Which, same for me. I wasn't taking care of myself. I am now. But I wasn't, because all my attention was focused on him and making sure he was okay. I would cook his food. I would wash his clothes. And he would always tell me, you know, I have my own two hands. I can do things myself. But I wanted him to know how much I loved him. And I did. But I didn't want him to do anything himself. I would cook him whatever. I would make sure he had food. Anything just to make him know how much he was loved, because I don't really feel, and I didn't really feel from things that he had told me, that he was ever loved like that before. He told me that himself. Why do you love me so much? Nobody's ever doted on me like this. Nobody's ever cared for me this way. And it was just the feelings that he gave me. Everything about him was love. He would always say to me, don't worry about me. I want to make sure you are pleased. I will do anything to please you. In return, I did the same for him. We are both givers, so we gave all the time. But he wasn't emotionally exhausting me. I want to say in the beginning, maybe he was. And I was like, man, this guy really, really likes me. Like, he's always telling me how beautiful I am. And just, you know, he would just tell me he felt like a child when he was with me. And he always wanted to kiss me. And he would say, don't ever stop kissing me like this. And I wouldn't. We got back together because I didn't give him time. But so by September, you know, we're back on. He's my man, and we're going out, we're doing things, and we're seeing each other all the time. And everything was great. Everything was great. He has some issues in his family, as we all do. So here comes the holidays. And my birthday was wonderful. He surprised me. At midnight, my daughter had showed up to throw me a surprise party. Kind of at a restaurant. So I went there, and this was on a Friday night. And Saturday was a little event that I had kind of planned for myself because I was turning 50. So Friday night, and I'm just speaking on my birthday because I want y'all to know, I still couldn't figure out that the feelings or whatever it was that he felt for me were fading because I was exhausting him. So I leave the restaurant probably, 11 o'clock at night, and he calls me and we're talking. He would usually talk to me until I got home because I lived by myself. So we're talking, and he was telling me he had just got off work. He worked 14 hours a day over peak season, and he talks to me almost all the way home. And you know, I forget exactly how it went, but then he says to me, I see him pull up at my driveway. That's what it is. And I said, is that you? I saw this car following me, and I always get really freaked out about stuff like that because I'm, you know, I don't know if people watch my routine. Not that I'm the prettiest thing, but sometimes I think if people see that I'm by myself, you know, this world is crazy. So I just don't trust people. I'm from the city. I don't trust people. And it's him. He's pulling into my driveway, and he says, yeah, I wanted to surprise you. I wanted to wake up. I wanted to be here for your birthday. So he bought me beautiful gifts. And at 12 o'clock, he wanted me to open my presents. And he just made me feel so loved. Even though he would say things like, you know, I'm not the most romantic. I'm not. But he was. He did everything right for me. I'm sorry. And this anxious attachment stuff that I'm realizing that I have has cost me the love of my life. Because if I would have just gave him that time back in the summer when he needed it, what I'm thinking now is he probably could have healed himself. And then we could have got back together, because women can't just move on like that. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to be with gonna take me a year, maybe 2. I am not at all in the market for a man. But I felt so loved entirely by him. So like I said, that was great. My birthday, great. I noticed things started changing. Closer to Christmas, he started being like a little more quiet, distant, being on his phone more, not complimenting me. Things irritating him. I have a deviated septum, so I get sick often during this time of year. I get sinus infections a lot. So I'm actually, well, I started snoring, and I don't even want to say I started, but I think it got really bad like the last 2 years because I literally can't breathe out of this side. So I'm having surgery on Friday for my nose to get fixed. And I don't want to say I did it for him, but I didn't know I was snoring. So, I know it was bothering him because he would tell me like he didn't get any sleep. But he started making remarks about things that I knew were bothering him. My clothes, like he might say, "Why, I don't like that. Why are you wearing that?" But he wasn't really complimenting me, and I could tell that he was very irritated about things. I chopped it up to family and just things going on in life, and him being tired from working peak season and not getting a lot of rest. He had some people in his home, and he just wasn't getting a lot of rest. So that's kind of what I chopped it up to. I'm also a talker, and I figured that after work I would call him and I would talk all day about what happened at work because my job is super stressful sometimes. So, but then I noticed that he would start answering the phone like, "Hey," not "Hey baby" or "Hey beautiful, I've been waiting to talk to you all day." He used to say, "Let me put my AirPods in so I can hear you in stereo." Because I love to hear the sound of your voice in my ears. He wasn't saying anything like that anymore. He acted like I was bothering him when I would call him. But again, I chopped it up to him just having a lot going on. And it was also his birthday around the holidays, 10 days after mine. Turn left onto I was sick. I was on some medication to where I couldn't even get out of the bed. It was making me dizzy. I planned a whole surprise birthday party for him and I couldn't get up. I don't even want to say surprise, a birthday party. I couldn't get up and go because I couldn't even sit in the car. Turn left onto Castlebrook Drive. I'm sure that hurt his feelings, although he told me to stay home and rest. He had to go eat by himself. I had bought him a cake. I had it made in cupcakes I was gonna take. Of course, we didn't have the party. So on his birthday, I brought the cake to work. I see him at work. When I really started noticing stuff changing is I tried to bring him a piece of cake outside. 500 feet, turn right onto Pinehole Line. And he was irritated that I did that. But I said, "You didn't get a piece of your cake." And he was like, "Why did you?" Now turn right he was mad. And I was just like, wow, I was just I tried to do too much all the time. But knowing that he's in a truck, where's he gonna put it? Where's he gonna eat it? But it was his birthday and we weren't together, and I had missed the little thing I had planned because I couldn't move. 500 feet, turn so right onto Dublin Drive. I was just wanting him to know how much I loved him and was thinking about him. And like I said, everything just turned because I overdid it. Now as I overdo a lot of things. Learning this attachment style that I have. That's what we do, is
Now
you don't want any rejection. You want to make sure that the people know that you love them so they don't reject you or abandon you. Which I don't think I ever thought he was going to, right? I don't think I ever thought that. But I had to have, because of what I was doing. I was literally exhausting him. I was making him exhausted from always just wanting to be there. And that's when I noticed that he was really getting irritated. He did apologize to me and he said, "I'm sorry for my frustration." I had asked him before, like, this attachment style, we're always asking, did we do something wrong? I would always say, "Are you mad at me? Did I do something? Did I say something?" And he would say to me, "It's not always about you. Why would you think you did anything?" Because I just didn't know. That's part of this problem that I have, that I didn't even know I had. So, again, even through all of this, then I'm also having to move. My building got changed. I had to find somewhere else to live. He was trying to help me. It was just a bunch of stuff compounded that I figured was the stress, and this was the problem. It wasn't. So, he had already had vacation scheduled. Let's get to Christmas. Christmas was great. We spent Christmas together, but he was very much, he used to always hug me, touch me, tell me to give him a kiss. He'd pull me in and say, "Give me another kiss, give me a hug." I noticed on Christmas Day, he barely touched me. So I kind of was like, okay, what's going on here? But I didn't really want to say much, because I don't like to cause a problem. But I'm knowing something's wrong. I noticed him also starting to say, "I'm gonna go home." He used to stay with me all the time. We were together every time he had off days, but he did have a home that he had to take care of, and he wasn't doing that. So sorry. I went to DC with my son. I have several grandkids. He has 2 new babies, they're twins. Went to DC to see my mom. He stayed behind because he had to work. When I called him from there, I didn't speak to him that much when I was there, and I knew that that was a little off. But he just seemed like he was going through things, so I was kind of giving him that space, but I still wanted to talk to him. I still wanted to be with him, but I could tell that he was standoffish with me. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So I called him from there. My mom had said, "Where is he?" And I said, "Oh, let me FaceTime him real quick." And he picks up mad. I forget how he answered the phone, but it was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, I was just trying to call you because my family was asking about you." And he didn't even care. He was just like, "Well, I'm getting ready to go into something." And I was like, "Oh, okay. All right. I'll talk to you later." So nobody saw him. Nobody talked to him on the phone. He had to go. So I just texted him and I said something like, "Hey, I don't know what's going on with you, but it seems like every time I call you, it's like you're irritated, or you're looking at me like you're disgusted." And he said, "What are you talking about?" So I said, "Okay, maybe it's just," he just acted like he didn't know what I was talking about. So this is why I didn't want to bring it up, but we've always talked so freely about everything. He would always say to me, we could talk for hours, an hour. We used to stay on the phone, and I'm not even playing, 3-4 hours, and it would feel like nothing. We would never want to hang up. I never wanted to get off the phone with him. I would fall asleep sometimes. I loved talking to him. He was my best friend. He became my best friend. We were partners, or I thought. And I thought we were best friends. I told him everything. He knew everything about my life. So to my surprise, New Year's Eve, I come back from, I came back the night before. I came back on the 30th, very late at night from DC. I had to work a half day on the 31st. But I didn't really hear from him, and I was starting not to hear from him a lot. He wouldn't really text me. Well, he wouldn't really call me beautiful anymore. I would text him. Sometimes he would text me and he would just call me sweet. Sweet. Sorry. So, I remember texting him later that day. I had a van that my son rented for us to all fit in it to go to DC. And I remember saying, "Can you like meet me so I can go drop this van off and pick me up?" And he said, "Yeah, of course. But it will have to be later," because he was at the mall. But I hadn't talked to him the whole day, and before I always knew what he was doing. He would tell me. He always kept me informed. I didn't even ask for it. He would just tell me what he was doing. But I noticed now he wasn't telling me anything he was doing. So I sent him the address where it was supposed to go, but he doesn't use Google Maps. So he says to me, "You know I don't use that. Why are you sending that to me that way?" Now I'm tired. I'm exhausted. And I was just like, "Oh, sorry, I forgot." So I go to Apple Maps and I try to look it up, and I send him the wrong address. And so, I don't know. I'm sitting at the place waiting for him to pick me up on New Year's Eve. It's like 5 o'clock, I think. Maybe 4:30. And he winds up texting me. He's like, "Are you going to come out?" And I'm like, "I'm here. I'm in the front." And he says, "No, you're not. I'm here and you're not here." So I said, "Where are you?" I sent him the whole wrong address. He was 30 minutes away from me. So by the time he gets to me, he's frustrated as hell. So I get in the car and he doesn't say like 2 words to me. Doesn't give me a kiss. Doesn't give me a hug. Didn't even act like he missed me. So I'm just talking to him, but it was real awkward. So I said, "Do you want to get something to eat?" I'm just gonna, we go get something to eat. You know, it's very awkward. He acts like he's frustrated even being with me. So I'm kind of like, I don't know what to do, what to say, if I should hug him, if I should say what's wrong. I don't know. So we get back to the house. I said, "You want to go anywhere?" And he's like, "No, I'm cool with staying in." So I'm like, "Good, because I'm tired. I don't want to go anywhere either. I'm good. We can drink. We can whatever." I got food, drank. I even put on some lingerie because I missed him and I wanted him to want me. But he didn't even touch me. I fell asleep. He was messing with some luggage that I had got him because he was getting ready to take a trip, and he needed, luggage with a lock so he could take his firearm with him. So he's messing with that, and I had fallen asleep on the couch. Figured that he'd come over and do something. I wanted him. I hadn't been with him in a week. I am going through menopause, but I definitely don't have the problems to where I don't want sex or I don't have any of those issues. So I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I realize he's still messing with that, so I go in my room and go into bed, thinking he's gonna wake me up at midnight. He's a very sweet guy. He would always say to me, "You need your rest. I will never bother you when you're sleeping." But I have told him it's okay. Especially if I don't have to work, wake me up. Because I love it. I loved the feel of him. He could have woke me up 4 or 5 times. If he felt like he needed me, I'm here. As long as I don't have to work the next day, wake me up. I'm okay. I live alone. I don't have children. Wake me up. I don't care. We can sleep till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Wake me up. But he didn't. He didn't wake me up to say Happy New Year. He didn't wake me up at all. The next morning, I wake up. It's 7 o'clock. He's already awake in the living room. He still didn't wake me up. I'm like, wow, this is weird. Like, what's going on? So I go out of the bedroom and I said, "Hey, good morning. Happy New Year." And he looks up at me with the saddest face. The absolute saddest face. And he said, "Happy New Year." And I think it's because he already knew that he wasn't going to be with me in the new year. But I didn't know that. I had no idea that it was coming. So I walked over to him and I gave him a hug. And I was just hugging him while he was sitting on the couch. His head was in my... just right here, and I'm rubbing his back, and he still didn't touch me at all. He didn't hug me back. He didn't put his arms around me. He didn't do any of that. I knew something was wrong. And then he says to me, "I'm gonna go home tonight." Mind you, I hadn't seen him. We hadn't had sex. I hadn't seen him. We're off New Year's Day. So I said, "Okay. Are you gonna come back before you leave for your trip?" Because he's leaving on the 4th to go to Texas. So this is now Wednesday. And he said, "I don't know." So I said, "All right." He left about lunchtime. Maybe even before that. And I didn't talk to him the rest of the day. Thursday, I'm asking him again. I'm like, "Hey, I hope I see you before you go. Hopefully you come by before you leave, because I miss you." He didn't. Friday, I asked him the same thing. "Hey, the airport's by my place. Normally he used to come to my place and leave in the morning to go get on the plane because it's closer than the drive from his place." In his defense, he worked late. And he was like, "Till I get off work and get home, I'm probably not going to sleep because I got to leave at 2-something in the morning to go to the airport. So I don't want to bother you." That's kind of what he said. "I'm going to be really tired." So I was like, "All right. Okay." I figured that I would talk to him the day of his flight, or he would have at least messaged me to say, "Hey, I made it to the airport." The usual things that we used to do. I didn't hear from him. So I wound up messaging him. This is Saturday. I'm off work. I message him and I'm like, "Hey, did you make it?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm getting ready to get on my other plane." I think that's kind of it. He didn't call me when he got there. I wound up asking him, "Did you make it yet?" And he said, "Yeah, something like, I'm with my brother right now." And I was like, "All right, tell him I said hi. Talk to you later." I think I talked to him one time in 4 days. I don't know what he did. I don't know what he was doing. I kind of left him alone. I knew when he was leaving because we knew everything about each other. And I did ask him, hey, when you get back, can you stop by before you go home? And he said, I don't know. You know, it was bad weather at that time. And he was like, you know, I had told them that they can put me up for the $350 credit if they need to get me off the plane. So I was like, okay. I said, just let me know. He didn't let me know anything. So I went to sleep. The next morning I woke up and I said, hey, did you make it home? Because I didn't even know if he got home. And he was like, yeah, I did. I got up to use the bathroom and I'm going back to sleep. And that was it. So I was like, okay. I was going to work. So I said something to him a little bit later, like, you know, are you going to come over and help me with some stuff? By this time I had moved. The whole time he was gone, I'm moving. I had movers. I moved into my new place. But I still needed help hanging up curtains. My ceilings are super high. And TVs. Those were the biggest things I needed help with, was curtains and TVs. But also, he had stuff going on at his house to where now he had to get his place together. Stuff I wasn't taking into consideration. I wasn't trying to be selfish, but I had depended on some help from him. And he did give me help. He did. But it was kind of like, I only have a few hours for you. And he was on vacation that whole week, so I figured that he would have a day or two of time to where he would at least come, maybe spend some time with me and help me some. He did help me, but it wasn't what I expected. And I kind of did feel abandoned because we wound up having a conversation. And I could tell that he just was acting like he didn't want to see me. And I was like, you know, he had other things to do, but I said, hey, I'll come to your house. You know, let me come to you. If you can't get here, I'll come over there and I'll help you with some things. And of course I would have been a distraction. I'm sure. But he said, no, it's okay. You know, I got it. And I was like, is there any reason why you don't want me to come to your house? Like, at this point now, I think we haven't had sex in like a week and a half, 2 weeks. So I'm like, what's up? Like, that's not normal. But I know when you're going things, and if you're depressed and if you have things going on, you really don't have a sex drive, because right now I don't. And it's been a hot minute for me, and I don't care. I'm not even thinking about it because I'm so overwhelmed. That's the furthest thing from my mind. So he said, I said, is there any reason why you don't want me to come over? And he said, no, not in particular. But he didn't want me to come to his house. So I was like, all right, that really hurt my feelings. I was there for him through some really dark times. And I would listen to him. I loved to listen to him talk. But I felt like he left me when I needed him the most. I'm in a new place by myself. Now I'm in a townhouse alone. I didn't want to be there by myself. He wasn't going to live with me, but I thought that he would be there. And he hasn't been at all. In our conversation, I said to him, when he told me he couldn't come the day of the snow, he said that he couldn't come, could we do it Saturday anyway? Asking very nicely. But I said, you know what, don't worry about it. I'll do it myself. No, I want to help you. I said I would help you. I'll help you. But can we just do it tomorrow so I don't get stuck there? And when he said that to me, that set me off. What do you mean you don't want to get stuck? Like, you don't want to get stuck with me? You've been with me for 3 years. We've been sleeping together for years. What do you mean you don't want to be stuck with me? And he said, I don't want to leave my house alone. Like, he didn't want to leave it with nobody in there. Okay. So he said to me, are you okay? And I said, yeah, I'm fine. And he said, no, are you okay? And I said, no, I'm not. Clearly, we're in two separate I'm over here with my feelings and you're back here. He told me this in the summertime. That's the craziest part. He had grief and stuff going on. But when he told me that, he said, "Do you know how long we've been seeing each other?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "I've been head over heels in love before." And he said, "I don't feel that way for you." So in my mind, I'm like, "You don't think you can get there? Like, you don't think? I thought you loved me." And he said, "I do. But I'm not in love with you." And he hasn't been able to feel that he loves me the same way I love him. When I tell you, I was kind of prepared for it because I knew something was off. But I didn't know. I didn't know that that's what he was going to say to me. You know, over the past couple months when we did start seeing each other again, it was very busy where I work and where he works. So we didn't have a lot of time for dates or anything like that. So I said some things to him that I know hurt his feelings, and I didn't mean to. But I said, "You know, you didn't put a lot of effort in." But he did. He always made time to see me, and he did. He always made me feel special. And then I said something about me wasting my time. Because we swore to God, as old as we are, that we were not going to waste each other's time. Because we don't know how much time we have left. And I already wasted so much time in life with the wrong people. Now here I am 3.5 years later. And the man that I thought that I would never, ever lose, I basically pushed him away with my issues that I didn't even know that I had until now. I'm realizing that I can't sit and wait. Like, I have to know right now that everything is okay. And that's not a good trait to have. And then I find myself begging for love. And I don't ever want to do that again, because I'm worthy of love. And I used to tell him that all the time. When he was telling me things that had happened in his relationships, I would tell him that he was worthy. And what he said to me before he left was, you're worthy too. You're worthy for someone to, when they're smiling in those pictures with you, to actually really be happy. Because I have so many pictures of us, and I thought he was so happy, and he wasn't. And I didn't know. I didn't know. But he made me feel like he was so happy with me and that I did everything right. He told me the way that I loved him. Nobody's ever loved him that way before. I felt like he was my soulmate, and I think he is. But he told me I'm not his person. I'll come back with another video of things that I allowed to happen through my life. That now I have a child that has the same problem as me. And he's begging for love when that person has told him they don't love him. that way, that they love him like a brother. He's begging for this person's love, and I allowed things to happen that caused my child to be like me. So I'll come back with another video. Thanks for watching, guys.